There's something about the wilderness that hits you the moment the sun goes down. The cold air sliding through the trees, the way every sound feels sharper when you're surrounded but nothing but darkness. And here I am again, in the middle of it, telling myself, this is a good idea. Welcome back to the IMR Scary Tales. And tonight, we're not in any motel, any haunted house, any cursed building in the city. We're far beyond that. We're deep in the woods. The kind of woods where your phone doesn't work, where the nearest help is miles away, and where the firelight never seems to reach as far as it should. I've collected true stories from campers who ran into things they couldn't explain, people who packed up in the middle of the night and never looked back, people who still don't like talking about what they heard out there. Bears, mountain lions, wolves, those things make sense. Nature makes sense. But what these people encountered shouldn't exist. Yet it does. And sometimes, out here where the trees swallow the light, you can almost feel it watching. So, if you're listening in the dark, maybe check your tent zipper, check the tree line, and whatever you do, don't go into the woods alone. The first story I need to tell you isn't mine. It belongs to a hiker named Marcus Chen. October 2018, Appalachian Trail, North Carolina. Marcus was experienced. 15 years of solo hiking, dozens of remote trips, someone who respected the forest and never scared easily. That changed in one night. He set up camp by a stream. Flat ground, clear water, great tree coverage. He made dinner, hung his food bag, and settled into his tent around 9 o'clock. Everything was perfect until 11:47 p.m. when he woke up to whistling. Not birds, not wind, whistling. Human whistling, tuneless and repetitive, coming from somewhere beyond the darkness outside his tent. He unzipped the flap slowly, swept his flashlight across the trees, but nothing moved except the stream. The whistling stopped. He forced himself to believe it was another hiker, maybe someone passing through. He tried to sleep. At 1:23 a.m., it started again. Closer this time. The whistle drifted around the tent, slow and deliberate. Marcus sat up, heart racing. He called out, "Hello? Who's there?" And the forest went dead silent. Even the water sounded like it held its breath.
Then, inches behind his tent wall, right where his head had been resting, a voice whispered, "Come out." The voice was wrong, too deep, too hollow, like it didn't come from a human throat at all. Then, "Come out and play." Marcus didn't move, didn't breathe. He held his flashlight against his chest and waited. The whistling began again, but now it came from different directions, 3 or 4 sources, surrounding him in a perfect circle, all whistling the same flat melody. That's when Marcus made the choice that probably saved him. He grabbed his bear spray, tore open the tent, and ran. He didn't care about the gear, the food, the backpack. He just ran through the darkness as fast as he could, and the whistling followed. No matter how fast he went, no matter how he zigzagged, the sound stayed exactly the same distance behind him, always following. For 45 minutes, he sprinted through the forest until he burst onto a service road where a ranger's truck was parked. Marcus collapsed, barely able to breathe. The ranger tried to calm him, tried to understand what had happened, but before Marcus could explain, they both heard it. The distant whistling drifting from the trees. Multiple voices getting closer. The ranger didn't ask another question. He shoved Marcus into the truck and drove out of there, fast. The next morning, the ranger and 2 officers hiked back to collect Marcus's gear. What they found didn't make sense. The tent had been moved, physically carried 30 feet from where Marcus set it up. His sleeping bag was stretched neatly outside the tent, laid flat on the ground. And around the tent, in a perfect circle, were footprints. Bare human footprints, but the toes were too long, the stride too wide, the proportions off. They counted 17 sets, all circling the tent over and over. Nothing else was touched. His food was still hanging untouched in the tree. Whatever circled his tent that night didn't want his supplies. It wanted him. Marcus still hikes, but never alone, never in North Carolina. And he told me that sometimes, even in his apartment miles away from the forests, he wakes up at night to faint whistling just outside his window, like something followed him home.
The next story didn't happen to me either, but the way it was told to me still raises goosebumps every time I think about it. It came from a couple, Sarah and Tom, who had been together for 2 years and thought a romantic getaway in Olympic National Forest would be the perfect escape. July 2016, a lake deep in the forest, far from any established campsite. Their first day was everything they wanted it to be. Hiking, swimming, sunset over the tree line, a quiet fire and marshmallows before crawling into their tent around midnight. Nothing should have gone wrong. But at 3:30 a.m., Tom woke up to use the bathroom. He eased his way out of the tent quietly, careful not to wake Sarah, and walked about 50 feet into the trees. That's when he heard her calling his name.
Where do you think she went?
Tom? Tom, where are you? Her voice sounded distant but clear. He smiled a little, thinking she had woken up and gotten worried. He called back. I'm right here, babe, just taking a leak. Then she answered again. Tom, I can't find you. Where are you? And this time her voice sounded off, flat, like there was no emotion behind it at all. Tom headed back toward camp, calling out to her again. I'm coming, I'm right here. But she repeated the exact same words with the exact same tone, like she was stuck on a recording. Tom, where are you? That's when he stopped walking. Something wasn't right. He turned on his flashlight and swept it across the trees. That's when he saw it. About 20 feet away, standing between 2 pines. The shape looked exactly like Sarah. Same body shape, same long dark hair, same height. But it stood perfectly still. Too still. And it was facing toward the tent, not toward him. Tom, where are you? The voice came from the figure, but its mouth didn't move at all. Tom stepped backward, every instinct telling him to run. The figure didn't follow. It didn't turn. It didn't even twitch. It just repeated Sarah's voice. "Tom, Tom, where are you?" That's when he stopped walking. Something wasn't right. He turned on his flashlight and swept it across the trees. That's when he saw it, about 20 feet away, standing between two pines. The shape looked exactly like Sarah. Same body shape, same long dark hair, same height. But it stood perfectly still. Too still. And it was facing toward the tent, not toward him. "Tom? Tom, where are you?" The voice came from the figure, but its mouth didn't move at all. Tom stepped backward, every instinct telling him to run. The figure didn't follow. It didn't turn. It didn't even twitch. It just repeated Sarah's voice. "Tom, Tom, where are you?" He bolted, ran straight back to the tent, dove inside, and zipped it shut. Sarah was still asleep, completely asleep. He shook her awake, breathless. "Sarah, Sarah, wake up, we need to go." She groaned, half asleep, confused. "What? Tom, what's wrong?" Before he could answer, Sarah's voice echoed outside the tent again. "Tom? Tom, where are you?" Sarah froze. Her eyes went wide. That's me," she whispered. "That's my voice." The footsteps started. Slow, heavy footsteps circling the tent, crunching leaves, branches snapping under careful, deliberate steps. Tom grabbed his knife. Sarah grabbed her bear spray. They sat there, holding their breath as the footsteps moved around them in a circle. Then it stopped right in front of the tent opening. Everything went silent for a long, suffocating moment. And then it spoke again, still in Sarah's voice, but distorted now. Too deep, too slow, too wrong. "Let me in." That was when the zipper started moving, slowly, from the outside. Something was unzipping their tent. Tom lunged forward and grabbed the zipper from the inside. Something on the outside pulled back, hard. The force nearly ripped the zipper from his grip. Sarah screamed. Tom held on as long as he could, muscles burning, trying to stop whatever was out there from opening the tent. Inch by inch, the zipper still crept downward. And then, everything stopped. The pressure vanished. The footsteps drifted away into the trees. Silence. They didn't sleep for the rest of the night. When the sun finally rose, they packed up everything in 5 minutes and hiked out without a word. They didn't dare look back. But when they got to their car, they saw what had happened to their tent. Deep scratches raked across the fabric near the zipper. Long, jagged marks like claws had been dragging across it in the dark. And later, when they got home and looked through the photos on their phone, they found one they never took. A selfie of Sarah at 3:30 a.m. The exact moment Tom had gone outside. She was smiling at the camera, but her eyes were pitch black. Not shadowed. Black. And in the trees behind her stood another Sarah, staring straight at the lens. Sarah doesn't remember taking that photo. Tom was outside at the time, and the phone was zipped inside her sleeping bag. They deleted it immediately, but sometimes, she says, her phone still gets airdrop requests at 3:30 a.m. The same photo. The same smile, the same black eyes. Every single night.
The last story is the one that stayed with me the longest. Not because it's the most violent or the bloodiest, but because of how quietly wrong it was. It came from a group of friends, Jake, Emma,
Chris and Melissa. 4 people in their mid-20s who thought a late October camping trip in Allegheny National Forest would be the perfect fall getaway. Deep woods, miles from the nearest trail, the kind of place where the silence feels heavy, like the forest is holding its breath. Their first night was normal. They ate around the fire, laughed, swapped stories, and crawled into their tents around 11. Nothing out of the ordinary. Until 2:15 a.m., when Emma woke up to children laughing. She sat straight up in her sleeping bag, thinking she must be dreaming, but the laughter didn't fade. It drifted around the tent, light and airy, like it was coming from kids playing hide and seek just outside the fabric walls. She unzipped her tent and whispered for Jake. He heard it too. So did Chris and Melissa. 4 grown adults all hearing the exact same thing, children's laughter in the middle of a forest at 2 a.m. They stepped out into the cold night, flashlights sweeping across the trees, and the laughter stopped instantly, as if the forest swallowed the sound whole. That should have been the end of it. But when they got back into their tents, it started again. Closer this time, right outside the thin nylon walls. Soft giggles, whispering, the rustling of small feet in dry leaves. And then they heard the whisper clearly. Come play with us. Jake said the voice couldn't have been older than 7 or 8. Melissa said it sounded like more than one child. Emma swore she felt something tug the corner of her sleeping bag. They didn't sleep. None of them. By dawn, they were exhausted and shaken, but they convinced themselves it was just echoes or another group of campers they hadn't noticed. They stayed for a second night, and that was their mistake. The laughter came earlier, just after midnight, and this time it didn't come from outside. It came from the trees behind their campfire while they were still awake. All 4 of them turned at the same time, flashlights snapping toward the sound. No children, no footsteps, just the tall silhouettes of oak trees swaying slightly in the wind. And then Emma pointed her flashlight higher, into the branches. And that's when they saw them. 3 small figures crouched on the limbs, like children perched unnaturally still, knees tucked to their chests. Their faces were pale, almost gray, and their eyes reflected the flashlight beams in a milky way that didn't look human at all. One of them tilted its head. Then another giggled, a soft, breathy giggle that didn't match any living child. They all scrambled back, collapsing toward the fire pit. Jake whispered, "We need to go," but none of them moved. They just stared as the figures slowly climbed down the tree, not like kids, not like animals, but like something imitating both and understanding neither.
I can't believe
When the
this.
first foot touched the ground, the giggling stopped. The forest fell silent, and then in unison, the 3 figures whispered, "Follow us." That broke them. They grabbed whatever they could reach, keys, phones, jackets, and ran through the dark forest without looking back. Branches whipping their faces, roots catching their feet, lungs burning, hearts pounding. The laughter followed them the entire way, echoing, bouncing, never getting farther away, never getting closer, like it was inside the trees themselves. When they finally reached their car, all 4 swore they heard tiny fingers tap on the back window as they sped away. They never returned to pick up the gear they abandoned, and Jake told me that even now, years later, He sometimes hears giggling when he walks past a playground at dusk. Not the normal kind. Not happy. The same breathy, broken laughter he heard in the woods. And every single time, he feels like something is standing just behind him, waiting for him to follow. By the time I finished collecting these stories, I stopped sleeping anywhere near trees. I started double-checking zippers, scanning the edges of the dark when a campsite falls silent. Because I've learned something most people don't want to consider. Out there in the wilderness, past the firelight, there are things that know we are fragile, things that whisper, things that mimic, things that play. And they wait, patiently. If you're still here with me, if you made it all the way through these stories, then you're exactly the kind of person this channel was made for. So if you want more real encounters, more true horror pulled from forests, motels, basements, and places we pretend are safe, then make sure you follow the IMR Scary Tales. Hit subscribe, tap the bell, and step back into the dark with me next time. Just don't listen too closely when the woods get quiet. And if you ever hear someone calling your name from the trees, don't answer. Ever.
No idea.